Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to a special housing report brought to you in association with BNZ on Black Friday, August the 13th, a day we'll look back on as a day when reality really hit the housing market. Sales in July of property were 4,411. Now that's a record low for any July since records began in 1992. It's almost at a complete low for any month. When you look at this chart for house sales volumes, you can see that in August 2008, we hit an absolute record low at the pit of the recession of 4,220, and we're almost back there again. Let's look though at median house prices. They actually fell by 1% in July from June. But when you look more broadly at the market, at the stratified house price measure, which I think is a better one because it takes out the impact of skewing of house prices. It's one put together by the Reserve Bank and the Real Estate Institute. You can see here that we are still 6.5% or so above that trough that we saw in mid-2008. But it's clear though we are down 5.6% from the peak that we saw in November 2007. And when you take into account inflation, house prices in New Zealand have fallen 11% in real terms since that peak of the housing boom in November 2007. So why are house prices falling? What's happening with the market? Surely we're in economic recovery. Well, interest rates have started to rise. Certainly floating rates are up around 50 basis points since the Reserve Bank started increasing the official cash rate on June the 10th. The tax changes announced in the budget on May the 20th have certainly hit the market. And we're seeing a slowing economy overall. Remember, growth is slowing elsewhere in the world too, and that's filtering through to New Zealand. And particularly in the big cities, affordability is remaining very tough. New Zealand has hit debt saturation point at around about 160% of debt to disposable income. And since late 2008, we've been dropping down from that. Bank lending is very weak too, and in June, bank lending only grew by $112 million. Sounds like a lot, but when you compare it during the boom times of 2006-07, the banks were lending more than $1.5 billion extra every month. So what happens now? Well, my personal view is that we're looking for another 10% fall in house prices from where they are now. Remember, they're about 5.6% down from the peak. Another 10%, we're looking for a 15% fall from the peak. That's my view at least. Other economists are saying we could see another 3 to 5% fall in house prices over the next year before some sort of rebound. I think, though, we're in for a tough time over the next few years as not just New Zealanders, but people in developed countries who took on a lot of debt to buy into property realise they've hit debt saturation point. The banks aren't willing to lend more. Income growth is going to be weak, and the economy overall is going to be weak as we deleverage. That's going to keep the pressure down on house prices, in my view. I'm Bernard Hickey. That was a special housing report brought to you in association with BNZ.